computer sorted.
Sure.
Cool, so we're recording and we are all together tonight to plan for 2021 and also, more importantly, I think, to take stock of what we've all achieved in 2020, which has been an absolutely crazy year, but look at us all showing up the week before Christmas and still thinking about what we can achieve in our businesses. So well done to everybody for getting this far. And yeah, time to really start focusing on what we truly want from 2021. And I want to caveat this to start with the fact that I don't just mean in your business. Because if we look at goals from just a business perspective, there's a real danger that you'll get out of balance and you'll burn out, or you won't get the true value. This business is supposed to create freedom for us. And if we don't create freedom for ourselves, then what is the point? And that's the point that people get to and they quit. And the last thing I want is any of us pushing ourselves to keep up with each other because they haven't taken the time to figure out what is important for them. And that is what obviously goal setting is about. So what we are going to do, we're going to talk about the importance, or I'm going to talk about the importance of creating a really clear vision. Then we're going to talk about setting goals that have got a life balance involved within them. And then I will talk a little bit about the common pitfalls of setting goals. And then we will take, or you'll have some tasks to do to take your vision and turn it into reality. So, dreams become real when you cultivate them. I can't even see half of my screen here. Let's move you over there. And that's what I want the theme to be here. We can dream all we like, but if we don't take the action, they stay dreams. But the biggest danger is, if you actually haven't taken time to know what your dreams are, and I can relate to this because I'm not even sure I know what my dreams are. If you haven't taken the courage to write down what your dreams are, and you're leaving it for the world to decide, then the chances are that 12 months from now, you will still be looking to see what the world's served up to you. And I don't know if any of you have ever read the book, The Secret. It was one of the very, very first books I ever read. It's all about you kind of reap what you sow and the energy you give out, but you've got to be very clear with what you want so that basically the energy of the earth realigns to try and provide that for you. But if it's kind of like, I'd just like to earn a bit more money, or I'd like to be a millionaire, but I'm really not quite sure how, that's when progress starts to get limited. And that's where I used to be. I genuinely used to be of the mindset that, you know, I'm a lucky enough person. I'm not, you know, I'm reasonably bright. I'm a hard worker, and therefore the world will dish up what is due to me. And I realize now that that's not the case at all. You really have to be specific about what it is you want to achieve and why. So there we go, leading nicely on from that. So your why, and thank you so much to Marie-Claire for sharing the video about the granddad's why today. I'd seen it the day before and I couldn't find a version that I could share. It's absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen it, he's basically out in his shed lifting this kettlebell and you're kind of like, what is he doing? And it does lead you to believe that he's maybe maybe missing a wife, or there's somebody important in his life that he's missing. There's a picture there, but you can't quite figure it out. But he's lifting this kettlebell, and then he pulls it out, and you can see he really struggles, but he persists. And the seasons change. People are coming, they're watching, they're judging, and he's still out there no matter what the weather. He's lifting this weight and pushing it out. And then on Christmas Day, he gets all dressed up. He goes to his daughter's house. I assume it's his daughter's house. And he's got a beautifully wrapped present. And the present is a star for the top of the Christmas tree. And his beautiful granddaughter comes running, opens the present, and he lifts her up. And he presents her to the Christmas tree so she can lift up and put it on. Yeah.
I saw the dumbbell at the park.
Yeah. So yeah, it is really touching and something that we can probably use to inspire ourselves to take action, but also in our health and fitness. You know, why is it that our clients come to us and what is it they're trying to change? So And I'm not going to speed through this. I really want you to think about some of the answers to these. And if you have got a notebook, write them down. But what is it that's driving you towards the goals that you're going to set for yourself for 2021? I mean, there's got to be something important. And I know the community is really important, but there's got to be something that it offers you now that you didn't have before you got involved in the community. That's just a tiny part of it. And we just, where is that? What is it that you enjoy about it? Because if you've got that locked down and written down, you know what you're going to lose if you're not part of this. But what is it that drives you to get out of bed in the morning, to take the business activities, to broaden your network, to have those difficult conversations with people? What is it that you personally are trying to achieve? And I always reach back, and those of you, most of the audience here who have got my journal will know that I absolutely take people through the goal setting part right at the start of taking any action. And it's all comes about, at the end of your life, how do you want to be remembered? What is it you want to be known for? What qualities, what achievements, what are you going to achieve for your own self? What are you going to give back to society? What do you want people to be saying about you? And it's quite good to think about, what would you think about your parents or your grandparents? What did they achieve in their life and how do you remember them? And then equate that back to what you want to achieve at the end of your life, because we've got a lot of time left and there's a lot we can achieve. So yeah, what do you want people to say about you? What words do you want people to describe you as? Do you want them to remember you as being, energetic and really empowered and driven and courageous, or, and it's absolutely fine, but shy and caring and loving? What sort of words do you want people to remember you for? Because the person you are today is not the person that's going to show up living the life that you're going to create for yourself using this opportunity and everything else that matters in your life. So we're looking at thinking about, what do you want people to say that maybe they think, what matters to Lynn? I mean, people now already say, Lynn says it as it is. Lynn is all about health and fitness. She's all about looking after her team from the inside out. She's all about listening. She's all about creating opportunities for other people. And that's in my career and in my family and obviously in this role as well. So what we're looking for you to do is be brave enough to think about what your true calling is. And it will change, but at least if we think about it, we're halfway there. So you'll know in the journal, I do have a couple of pillars that I pull out that I think are really fundamental to getting this balance right. I think that if anybody thinks they can jump into this business opportunity and just press go and run with it without actually taking a look at the other pillars of their life, then they will get to a stage where the hard work is greater than the actual benefit that they're getting from it. Because if they haven't if their career actually is a priority, like many of us who are working, and this is the parallel activity, we need to make sure that we're still progressing in that career that potentially was our lifelong yearning at one point, and we're using this to create a long-term future financial security for us. But getting that balance is right. Travel, it's one of the biggest appeals to me, to any network marketing organization. And I did dabble with Arbonne for about 6 months. Wasn't for me at all. But travel is one of the biggest appeals for this sort of organization. All the recognition, all the rewards, the travel, it's something you don't get in a normal corporate career. So if that's something that appeals for you, then you need to make sure you remember that every morning, that this is why you're sending, you're doing these posts. This is why you're inviting people to challenge group. This is why you're showing up to do them, because it's a facilitation for you to get traveling around the world and go to amazing places. Your family, no matter what that looks like, clearly you need to make sure that you know what it is you want to achieve there. Sense of adventure, I absolutely love adventure. Nothing appeals to me more. But all those things we need to have a think about, just to know what matters to us. So then once you know what matters, you need to think about, where do I need extra accountability to make this happen? And that might be having a conversation with your partner and saying, okay, I really think we need to invest time. David's going to be like, yay, going to invest time in our relationships. So you need to hold me to account that maybe once a week or once a month, we're going to have a proper date night where all electronics are off, so that you can have your time for your career, you can have your time for your friends, but you're not doing it to the detriment of those relationships that are closest to you. If you've got to do things in your career, it's about having that discussion and being held accountable. So sometimes a lot of things like the fun side, we'll do that, you know, that's our default setting. But there might be things here like money, saving money. How are you going to hold yourself accountable to the activities you need to do on a daily basis to make sure that your money situation is in the state it needs to be so you can achieve your goals? And that comes to like your budgets, keeping track of your spending, deciding what matters and where your money's going to go. So being more conscious of how you are treating that part of your life. And what we're looking at doing, and tonight I'd like you to do a little bit of it, is identify what your top 3 life priorities are. So if everything was stripped away, what would matter most to you? What are the things that would really matter to you? And that you wouldn't want to live without. And I'm sure some of them are really, really obvious for some people, but for some people, maybe not quite so obvious. And then you've got choices to make, which I think is really important choices to make. And the reason we do this is what I harp on about all the time, is because if we can set ourselves a target, for example, in my journal for 90 days, where we say, you know, my friends, my money, so my business and my career are my 3 most important things. Well, every day you need to be thinking, how am I investing in my friends? How am I investing in progressing my career? And how am I making sure that my money situation or my business is moving forward? So how I suggest that you do this, and you don't have to do this now, but if you have got a notebook and pen, the way they suggest is having a circle and then writing those things that are important to you around the circle, and make the segment the size of importance it is for you. And what you'll end up with is a pie chart that you can stick in the middle of your vision board in an area where you spend some time, like your work desk or your business working space, so that you can remind yourself. And the reason for that is so that when anybody phones up and tries to steal some of your time, you have a visual recognition to go, I was supposed to invite 10 people today, or really need to check in with my challenge group, or as your teams grow, you know, I was really supposed to prepare a goal setting presentation to help my team tonight. And what you realize is that you are trading off time that you invest in your own true life purpose for somebody else's priorities or needs. And it makes you more conscious so you can make that decision. And I'm not saying you don't do it, but I'm saying maybe sometimes you have to say, I really can't help you tonight, but I can tomorrow. And you start to manage your time, which is your biggest asset, more carefully. And we can do this, as I say, by visualization. If you make the segments the size that represent your priorities, and you can have as many on there as you want, just try and keep the 3 main ones at the side of your head as well, so that you know what your real priorities are. And then after that, have a go at rating yourself 1 to 10 on where you actually are now. Because whilst you might think that your relationship is half of this or a quarter of this, maybe you've not actually been taking the actions to make that as legacy leading as it might be. So therefore you start to understand how much effort and how much work you need to put into that aspect of your life. So there's some ideas about how you might want to chop that up. Occupation. I've just invented a new word there. And so you know, all of this is all about creating the balance, because if we work, we are not happy bunnies. So yeah, I would like if you are open to it, to see this maybe before the end of the year, just to see that you know where you are, and then I know where you are, and then I know if you need that extra accountability, we can come up with some form of agreement on what accountability you need from me to make sure that you are achieving the elements I can help you with. But if I'm trying to serve everybody in the same way, quite often it ends up missing everybody's mark. So if I can see this and see that actually the business is only 10% and what your actual goals for the business are, then I can keep you on track. And when we get through each quarter, I can say, well, these were your goals for the year. Are you on track for them? And if not, the question then is, well, was that the right goal for you to have balance? Or do we need to maybe put more time into getting you towards your goals? And that is how I foresee our relationship being. It's definitely not me telling you what needs done. It's you telling me what you want to achieve and then me facilitating that. So we're looking for quadrants of or sections of a pie of all the different aspects of your life that are important. And then what I want is a really clear indicator of what your top 3 are. Cool, that's just a reminder of some of the wider aspects that might make up that initial pie chart. So as I've said, what this aims to do is allow you to make decisions when it comes to prioritizing your time. So any time that you're having to make a yes/no decision, you know, and you can stop, and rather than go, and this is, I'm going to reiterate this 100 times, your natural instinct may be, but they need my help. And that is absolutely fine if you're willing to sacrifice your own progression towards your top 3. So if you plan having an extra special holiday next year, but some of your friends need maybe childcare assistance, and you're going, because you're a kind person, and you pour hours and hours into that, and then you don't get your holiday, you know, you're the only person that's going to suffer there. So sometimes, and we're absolutely entitled to do it, sometimes we just have to say no, or we have to negotiate when's a good time. But if you, 3 things is really not huge, but if we make them non-negotiables, then we know that this time next year we will have moved towards them. So in order to do that, and I know some of you will do this through and through in work about setting SMART goals. I'm not going to go into this in a huge amount of detail, but I absolutely think you should think about this. So I'm going to talk through what each of SMART means. So SMART goals is what keeps you on track and allows you not to cheat yourself, because cheating yourself is really, really easy. So setting yourself a target and then forgiving yourself is much, much easier than setting your husband or your friend a target and then them letting you down. So we can switch that and set some really SMART goals that we can hold ourselves accountable to and each other, then we're much more likely to just have that extra bit of motivation when we want to quit to get us moving forward. Thirsty.
I'll give you top up now.
So there we go. So specific. So SMART goals, the S, I've not written it on this one. S is for specific. So what exactly is it you want to achieve? So now we're talking, you know, either your wider legacy or your top 3. What exactly do you want to achieve? So the more specific your description is, the bigger chance you've got that you'll reach it, and you'll know when you've reached it. So you need to ask yourself all these questions. What is it you want to achieve? Where are you going to achieve it? How are you going to achieve it? When, by? Who do you need the help of? What do you need to do to succeed? Do you need to learn anything else? What might hold you back? And then why? Why do you want to reach this goal? What is it that matters? Is it just one part on a bigger journey and you need to keep moving forward? Or is that the end state? And how is that going to impact on everything else? So be really specific about what it is you're trying to achieve. And you may have loads and loads of these by the time you really cascade down into the detail. So once you know what it is that you want to achieve, we have to start thinking about how we're going to measure that. So you're looking at some sort of stats that you can decide. So once you get there, what will you see, how you feel when you reach your goal, break it right down so that you've got those really, almost tick a box. I've achieved that, tick that box, because it falls within the measurable bracket of what you've set yourself. And they say that defining a physical manifestation of your goal makes it really, really clear what you're aiming to do, and therefore it's easier to reach. And for the business, it could be, it could just be the activity that you're going to undertake. So I am going to invite 30 people a month, or I'm going to invite 50 people a day. Whatever your extremes are, if you set those numbers to start those conversations, you can go 50, tick, 49, cross, when you start holding yourself more accountable. So you know whether you're on track. So daily activities you can measure to see whether you're going to be on track for the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the quarter, the end of the year. There we go. So there's an example there, and it's the health related one, because I don't want it to be all about business, because we're here because we're on our own journeys. But drinking a certain amount of water each day, eating all the vegetables in your UPF plan. I know for me it's fruit at the moment. I seem to be hitting everything but forgetting for my extra portion of fruit. And maybe you want to journal every day, or maybe it's 5 days a week for some of the activities. But if you set yourself a target, then you know whether you're on track or not. And it's just that extra impetus when you go to sit down and switch the TV on. It's like just 5 minutes and I can have that last box ticked. Another one there, building the business. It's a really dangerous game to play, to chase either an income or short-term income or success club targets. I think it's much, much more important to be having a contract with yourself to show up and do the activities every day, because you cannot possibly control the responses to the connections that you make. You can't be in charge of that. Yes, we could say that if we were to talk to more people, we'll get more positives. But actually, a lot of what we do is just remembering to do the basics, doing your workout, sharing your journey, doing the BAT, having a target of so many people a day to make it sustainable, rather than 100 and then nothing. And so making sure that it levels off. So by setting yourself those, achievable, we'll go on to that, goals, then you're more likely to take consistent action. There we go. So then we're talking about attainable. So you have to weigh this all up against everything we've spoken about up to now. Now, I would love to be 5-star diamond by the end of the year. It ain't going to happen because I haven't got the time to put into those sort of goals. So I need to make sure that what I'm doing is actually attainable. So it's all about weighing up the time and effort that you're willing to put into your output against, and I say costs there, but much of our cost is actually our time. So it's the resources you need in order to achieve that in comparison to other obligations that you've got. So it's really important. Look at your time management, have a planner there that's written up in every half hour, and have a look and see, block out your 8 hours or your 10 hours at work and see where you have got time to see what actually is attainable in a day, in a week, in a month. And then you can start to get really serious, and you've got an achievable, rather than going, well, there's no way I could achieve that, so there's no point even trying. And you've got something that you can actually hold yourself to. So as I've said, if you want to be diamond by the end of this month, well, that just isn't attainable. I'd love to see somebody go from, emerald to diamond in 2 days. But I would say that at the start of the year, when I decided I was going diamond, and I actually wrote it down, I damn well did it, because I was focused on what activities I had to take to make that happen, rather than getting distracted by everything else. So if you want to maybe be emerald or back to emerald by the end of this month, that is achievable, because that's a really simple thing to do if you were to put your mind to it, and if that was your priority. And then maybe you want to take action to get to diamond by the summit cutoff, which is in June, so that you are recognized in July summit as being a diamond. That sort of time scale is absolutely achievable, and it will encourage you to focus on taking the activities you need. So getting your discount coaches on, rather than maybe all your sort of just 12-month bods for as customers. You might just have the confidence to just push that conversation to being a discount coach, or looking for a different type of client that maybe wants to be on Shakeology for 3 months or 5 months or 6 months or 12 months. So it really does, once you know what your goals are, it really does channel your activity and the conversations that you will invest more time in. So there you go, relevant. Again, this is all about in relation to your dreams. There's no point powering on down and putting all the energy into something that's not going to progress your actual life goals and your life dreams. Whether Beachbodies is your sole dream or part of that dream, you need to be clear on how the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 all work together, and so that you know that when times get hard, that's why you're doing it. So is the activity you're taking relevant to the goals and your dreams? Do you actually want the goal for yourself? Do you want that promotion? Do you want the new house? Do you want the increased energy? Do you want improved relationships? Do you want to take this action for you? Or do you just feel as if you're doing it for somebody else? And that's really important to ask yourself. So again, this goes back to the why do you want to reach your goal? If it's not your reason, then you need to ask yourself the question. I'm sure many of them, when you actually peel back the layers, you'll realize there is a why there. But if you're not clear on it, then you're not going to be able to benefit from it. So what's the objective behind the goal, and how is it going to help you to get what you're dreaming of? And there you go. There's an example there. I'm going to create a healthy lifestyle for myself and for my family. So I'm leading by example to create the best possible life for myself and my children. And not everybody's got children in our audience, and we're all in different stages of what family looks like for each other. But think back to that granddad and how he lifted his grandchild. And that, to me, is what we're promoting in how we help each other and help others with their healthy lifestyle. Can you tell the Geminis talk with their hands?
Yeah.
So last but not least, time bound. Again, we have touched on this. Oh, I've got a typo there again. I'll be getting marks off for that. But it's really important to set yourself a time that you're going to achieve this in, and that's what wraps it up into. So set some priorities. A little bit of stress and a little bit of, I promised myself or I promised somebody else that I would achieve this by then, is really helpful, and it helps you to be able to prioritize your time on a day. So you keep yourself accountable. Create a to-do list so that you can have, what activity do I need to take daily, so that in a week, in a month, in a year, that is what I will have achieved. And be specific. If it is Success Club 5 every single month, I've had months where I have done that, and I have been on the, literally 20 minutes before the clock dings midnight, and I've been there finalizing conversations with somebody to get that final order through. Whereas previously, and since, when I haven't set myself and I've been a little bit more gentle on myself, I've not had that final push to go and have that conversation. Now, you can interpret that 2 ways. You can interpret that as goal chasing and pushing, or actually, that conversation I didn't finish at 20 minutes to midnight that night, that person maybe now hasn't got the opportunity that they needed to get healthy, because I then hit the first of the month, I'm like, yeah, I'll follow up with her in 3 weeks. And what sort of coach would do that? Because they need someone they can rely on. So there we go. There's a very relevant one there, an example and it's one that I'm absolutely going to commit to myself. For the next 9 weeks, I'm going to commit to my community, so to your Moveique life, and my own health by undertaking the 9-week Control Freak and posting about my journey authentically in the community page and also on social media, because that will benefit, obviously, everybody that I am in contact with the business. And I can do that for 9 weeks. I definitely have not been doing it quite so stringently over the last sort of 3-4 weeks anyway. So there we go. By the end of it, what we're looking for is a rough draft of 8 to 12 goals that you want to achieve in the upcoming year. And I would absolutely love it if even parts of it you would share it with me, so I can help you and remind you, especially your business setting ones, and try and have at least one goal for each area that you decide is a priority in your life. Not just, maybe not just things that, there's easy tasks and there's stretch tasks. So I know for me, maybe the housekeeping might be one. And as I say to David quite often, hoovering to me is a ground level activity. If I really want to keep on top of the housework, we need to be talking a deep clean. So it's the same with any different type of goal. You need to think, what do I need to do to keep, like, active. So I need to keep drinking Shakeology to stay active as a coach. What am I going to stretch myself to do to be able to turn this from just being product to the product to actually being a leader in this realm and actually building my business and unlocking this and inspiring others to come and do the same. So think about where you are and then where you want to be. And I'm not going to tell you where you want to be. That's the whole point here, is this has to mean something to you, your legacy, your why, your reason for getting up every morning. So there you go. You want to make sure that at least some of these goals, and I would suggest all of them, push you outside of your comfort zone so that you are required to grow to achieve them. But they need to be reasonable and aligned with your life priorities. So there's a little thing that you need to be, you know, things about if you're going to create a vision board, and I think it's an amazing thing to do, so that when you sit down in the morning, you can fill out your goals or your imaginative visualization, as I call it, and say, you know, gosh, you know, me sending 10 invites to people that really need this opportunity, that's going to unlock that travel holiday next year, or it's going to unlock me being able to put my children to this school or that school, or get a cleaner, because that would be my ultimate goal just now, now that I'm back working full time. So little things like that will be absolutely relevant. So make sure you've got pictures up there or quotes, things that represent all areas of your life. Some of it can be material ones, absolutely. And sometimes we apologize for that, but if there's something physical that you want and that drives you, it could be, you know, once you get to the stage, a nice watch or a nice car, or the holidays, absolutely put that on. For me, a lot of it is words, so things like calm and strong, those, and space is something I really connect with what my future life is going to look like. It's going to have space in my head, in my time, and also in the house. So pictures of family, your favorite quotes, vacation destinations. I mean, I've said cars, shoes, and coats there, but little things like that are, you know, maybe you can go and buy that coat or those shoes at the end of the month because you've sold or you've connected 3 or 4 people with our platform. And then there are ranks and events that definitely worked for me last year when I was trying to push through and take action. So you can have that on there, absolutely, and you want to be ticking them off. In fact, the year that David and I, 2018, when David and I did a vision board, we ticked everything off within about 6 months. It really did make a difference. We just haven't been quite as religious, so I'm affirming to myself now to be better at this as a leader anyway. So it would be lovely to see either your goals or your vision boards. Let's not leave it till March before we do this. Let's see if we can get it done. And if you've got family, maybe they can get involved too, because they might have some things on there too. As far as I'm concerned, 2020 might have been a write-off, but 2021, bring it on. Cool. I'm going to stop recording now.